I have some good news for you. I often follow the principle of parsimation, also known as Occam razor. It assumes that the simplest theoretical solutions with the fewest assumptions are the best. So I assume that my presentation will be simple and hopefully communicative. When I found out the trip to Thule, I immediately imagined this place I didn't know, but which I had dreamed of several years ago. I even bought a substantial guidebook, Iceland Dreams Journeys, published in 2007 by Astra Publishing House. A mysterious remote Iceland surrounded by water at the Atlantic Ocean, to be specified. I also imagined that waves crashing against its shore. And I started wondering where this water and even been as stillness. I guess there have been waves since the dawn of time. So can you imagine the creation of the first wave? It is possible easier to see the most recent one. In the Apocalypse, according to St. John, the sea at the end of the world is the sea of glass. Sometimes it mixed with the fire to disappear in the end and take all variability with it. But how now I will use the symbol of the wave to describe a few selective issues. I think account one of after and other, their variability cleans, but sometimes brings destruction. We will therefore look at the wave created for the purpose of this meeting, the Anthropocene wave. The term Anthropocene was introduced by Paul Cruz. It refers to a new geological age characterized by the negative impact of human activity on natural processes. The usurpation of the human race to be above nature and claim the right to destroy the planet we live on it is appealing. However, calling the last 200 years a period of human domination seems absurd to me. For me, nature continues to be the main driving force behind the Homo sapiens race. Volcanoes, earthquakes, and pandemics of various kinds have always humbled men's arguments. For example, an Icelandic volcano, which a name I cannot pronounce. Can you help me? Beautiful. It precisely fights all over Europe for several years. We have devoted an entire catalog of this phenomenon. So you can see here some. There are many such volcanoes, dermons are active, and it is difficult to predict when they will remind us to their power. Recently, the whole world was affected by the COVID pandemic. Millions of people lost their lives, and we will feel the effects of it for years to come. History shows that disease can change not only the climate, but also the imagination of humanity. The most dramatic example is the plague. It has appeared many times, and each counting enormous mortality. Its story began in Yunnan province in China. It was then brought to Europe via the Silk Road. It was one road. Another pandemic which brought the greatest misfortune began in Kaffa, which has besieged by the Mongols under the command of the Yani Beka Khan. The coming Khan used biological weapons to capture the city. Using catapults, the invaders threw corpses infected with the plague into the city. At the point, the Georgians merchants decided to flee. They sailed to Italy on the galleries. They brought with them the plague, which rapidly spread to the European countries. Nothing was known about the disease, neither how it organized or why it was so contagious. Like the ancient scholars, astrologers, and psychical of time believed that the plague was brought on the plague air, which used rose from the depth of the earth and was carried by the wind in various directions. It was therefore called plague, but it was most commonly referred to as Black Death. A characteristic symbol of the plague was tremor appearing to going and under the armpits. Hurricanes, former back spots on the body or the sick, hence the name. In 3045, medicine thought that the plague was caught in the trip conjuncting of Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars in the degree of Aquarius, which account on 20 March. The appearance of plague was signaled by usual phenomena. There included a solar eclipse, comets, lightnings in July, mists in the summer, an abundance of toads, muskrats, butterflies on hornworks, roses blowing in September, breeding, twins being born, etc., etc. There were various periods of advice on how to predict the arrival on the plague. At 13th century, physical Piotr Umianowski had this rather original idea of finding his dog bread with butter and fresh dawn every day. If the dog died, this would be an infallible sign that the air had gone bad and the disease was at the gates. To protect themselves against the plague, people wore various amulets such as beads made of mercury, or coins with the sign of San Roch, the patron saint of the plague. In the 13th century in Italy, it kills 1.5 million people, 13% of population. The peculiar clothes that doctors used to wear became a symbol of plague. They wore masks the shape of the bird brick. In the brick were aromatic herbs and suppressed the fetor. They also used various protective measures like spinning vinegar on letters or objects or lighting bonfires or street corners. Bloodletting laxatives were used in medicine then from the horn of unicorn. Preparation from the liver of the goat, fish, clays, toads, herds. All to no avail. Nothing could help. After many years of fighting this terrible disease, a vaccine was invented. And when antibiotics became available, the plague was no longer so dangerous. The second disease I would like to mention in the contemporary is the contemporary Spanish flu. Every 100 years or so, there is a plague that claims many victims all over the world. Between 1980 and 1920, it was the famous Spanish flu. It was caused by influenza virus. It was brought to Europe by American soldiers who took part in the First World War. In 1980, no one knew what the disease was caused by a virus. It was thought to be a bacterium. But when people realized that it was spread by droplets, they started wearing masks for protection. The disease was mystery to the doctor. They recommended using laxatives, blonding, or taking champagne, sherry, it is very nice, wine, caffeine, camphor. People use internal and external disinfection and even tried eating beetroots. Nothing had any effects. Assembly bands were issued whether possible schools, theaters, and public institutions were closed. People were being warned against coats, sneezing, and spilling in public. For explaining reasons, the pandemic subsides suddenly and spontaneously. The Spanish flu virus was not isolated until 1930. Pandemic infection diseases are thought to have killed more people than died during the fight of the wars. They have had significant impact on economical and climatic and political changes. However, humanity is constantly exposed to the emergency of new disease, which can both created by nature and in the laboratories of scientists. This vision doesn't have to alarm us, but rather make us realize the power of nature. Wave of memory. O, no to sorry. 4 minutki, super. Wave of memory, you can see the... I pulled out of old yellow plastic box signed Iceland 1977, which contained the diapositives from my father's travels. Looking under the light, I could admire strange landscapes shaded at appointment blue. Solid grained space with architecture to match the place. Rectangle frames which small colored film in the middle transported me back in time. Just 46 years ago, a great exhibition of Polish graphic art was held in Reykjavik, and in my memories, I was again waiting for that to return. I didn't know why, but he always came late at night when I was sleeping. The memories suddenly shaped like the test of the actuality of my eyesight carried out so I can drive. What I remembered, of course, was a gift, beautiful gray and white jumper, which I assume was made of wonderful natural wood. It beat me mercilessly, and I think I only wore it once. I still remember how he told me stories of wind so strong that it could gnaw you off your feel and keep you from coming back from the coast. Memory is a great inspiration. It changes constantly. We forget in order creating stories anew. Sometimes it's enough to walk along the old road we once took to feel the distant smells, conservations, colors, feelings. It is necessary to revisit places, people over and over again. I think one...
Is it you and your brother?
No, it's somebody from Iceland. I think maybe you can find somebody. Maybe this is your father and mother, aunt. I don't know. So I have another 5 minutes?
Yeah,
okay.
2 minutes.
Okay, it's finished.